Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to The Struggle. The Struggle is shown on 21 cable stations from Vermont to New York City and 24/7 on the internet at thestruggle.org. On the program today, an American socialist, two Israeli women who went to jail rather than serve in the Israeli army, and an interview with Anna Baltzer, who received national attention after her appearance on Jon Stewart's The Daily Show. We begin with Brian Jones of the International Socialist Organization. Recently, Michael Moore's movie Capitalism, a Love Story, has gotten phenomenal public attention. The notion that capitalism is destructive and ought to be replaced is now before the minds of hundreds of thousands of people. Jones is an excellent speaker and a professional narrator. He's done the audio versions of books by Noam Chomsky and Howard Zinn.
I want to start with a little article that I read. I just jotted down some lines from it because it was very striking. I don't know if people saw this. In the Sunday New York Times Magazine, it frequently has these interesting little tidbits. And there was this one article about an American who recently moved to Holland. And I think the title of the article was Going Dutch. Subtitle, How I Learned to Love the Welfare State. And he goes there and he gets this job, and the first thing he learns is that, there's all kinds of things that just are like irking him as an American. He's going there, it's very American mentality. But one of the things that bothers him the most is that he finds out right away he's got to pay 52% of his income up front to the government. Like whatever the numbers on his check, divide it in half and give half to the government right away, and then you take home the remaining half. And he just, he's like practically in revolt at this, but trudges through. And the article goes on. I can't go through all the details, but the reason I'm sharing it with you today, as you'll see in a moment, is that as the article goes on, he softens to this idea. And the reason he softens to it is that a number of things happen to him. He has children, first of all. He has children, and he sends his kids off to school. And as soon as he brings his children to the country, kerplunk. There's a check. There's just a $600 just dropped into his bank account out of nowhere. And then the next quarter, another $600. Like every quarter, he's getting these $600 payments dropped into his bank. And so he calls the bank and asks, and they're like, well, it's expensive to have kids. You need diapers, and you need, and they're listing to him all the things he needs to buy. That's expensive. We're going to give you some money to help you out. So then he sends his kids grow old enough to go to school. He sends them to school. And then about her age. And then kerplunk, there's $400 just dropped into his account. So he calls up the bank. What's this for? Oh, well, kids going to school now. You got to buy books. This is the money to buy the books. And then he writes in this. You got to go look at this art. It's really fun to read. And then he writes that last May, everybody's getting ready to go on vacation. Right before vacation time, kerplunk, $4,200 dropped into his account. He calls up the bank. Why did you just drop $4,200 into my account? And he said, well, you're about to go on vacation, aren't you? Don't you want to go snorkeling? And ski lifts are expensive, and something's got to help you pay for it. And when he starts, he calls the government officials and talks to them about this. Like, what is the thinking behind this? And they say, look, this is by law. The law in Holland is that everybody has to get paid vacation in the amount of 4 weeks from their employer. So you're on vacation, you're being paid during those 4 weeks, and in addition, the employer is required to pay you 8% of your salary, that $4,000 in his case, to help you out on the vacation so you can really have some fun while you're there. Now, here's the kicker. Now, I'm sure you can already imagine, if you've seen Michael Moore's Sicko, you've heard of the things that were like, eye-popping to Americans, because here in America, with our pioneer spirit, we believe in going completely bankrupt to pay for the things that people are getting for free in other countries, things like health care, daycare, things like that. Well, of course, he has a friend. He writes in the article about a friend who comes and has small children, and they're sending somebody to do her vacuuming, for free when the kids are small, because she, who has the time. But the thing that was the real kicker to me was that he found out that even unemployed people get the 4 weeks paid vacation and the 8%. Even people who are unemployed are paid by the government to go on vacation. And he asked the government official, what could possibly be your thinking in sending an unemployed person on vacation? And here was the official's response. If you can't go on vacation, you'll get depressed and despondent, and you'll never get a job. I raise all this to say that, you know, first of all, you may be surprised to hear, of course, here you are at a meeting all about socialism. And all of these wonderful things that just set you smiling. You just can't stop, you know, you're just dreaming about these things. I'm here to tell you that's not even socialism. I'm here to tell you that socialists are after a whole lot more than that. That Holland is actually one of the countries where capitalism got started. It's a preeminently, to this day, capitalist country. We can have a lot of things that we don't have under a capitalist system and a capitalist market. So I'm here to say, if you've already, you know, got excited just thinking about those things, I'm here to say that socialism is not about us sharing the poverty, you know, just lowering everybody's life down to some drab standard. But I'm here to say that socialism is about having a life that's way beyond what regular working, even unemployed people have in Holland. Something much is that they have a thing called the American dream that they try to dangle in front of us as part of the way that ideologically I think the kind of powers that be in America try to prevent the rise of socialism or kind of socialist movement. And you would be lying, I think, if you said that it doesn't have some effect, that it's not part of the landscape that we live in, is the whole idea of you're socialist. Who are you trying to get in the way of me? I'm trying to get rich. Why are you trying to stand in my way? Socialist, you know. That's part of the thing that's out there. But even that right now is changing in America. It's an amazing thing. The New York Times CBS just did a poll, came out today, about the American dream. 72% of people still believe that the American dream is possible in this country. Okay, that's, you know, we don't take heart in that. But 40% believe that they've actually achieved it themselves, or that they're on their way to achieving it. And then people who believe that who have not but believe that they will achieve it is 30% of the population. People believe in other words, I think what that shows is people believe in the American dream still. They hold on to that idea somehow in the abstract, but the more you dig down into their life, the less and less it actually applies to them. And that, I think, explains the last poll I want to share with you, and then we're done with polls, is the Rasmussen poll that I'm sure you've heard about. That given a choice between socialism and capitalism, 50% of Americans believe capitalism, that's a better system. 20% believe socialism would be a better system, and the remaining 30% are not sure. In America, with all the ideological whatever, that is an amazing statistic. And I think we don't owe that 20%. And actually, if you look when it said young people, like people 25 and under, it was 30%, 30 some odd percent actually favor socialism. We can't take a whole lot of credit for that statistic, unfortunately, with our, you know, socialist propaganda. I wish we could. But I think we really owe those statistics and these changes in consciousness that are going on right now to the conditions that people are living in, to life. Life itself, life under capitalism, is changing people's views about capitalism in the millions and millions. We are living through nothing less, I believe, than the overturning, or the process of overturning, of what has been a dominant set of ideas about capitalism, about economics and politics for my entire life, for at least 30, 40 years, something like that. Those ideas, in short, went by the title of neoliberalism, a deceptive term, but still you may have heard it. Neoliberalism was the idea put forward as part of a giant effort to sweep away all of the gains of the struggles of the 60s and 70s, to overturn all of that kind of social thinking. Neoliberalism was the idea that the best way to organize everything is the free market. Really, I mean, how better to organize healthcare? We need a market. Get all those rules and regulations out of the way. We need a market in healthcare. How best to organize education? We need a market. Let the free market do its thing. How best to organize banking and mortgage lending? Well, yes, get all those regulations and pesky overseers out of the way, those government bureaucrats, get them out of the way. The best way to organize it is the free market. The healing powers of the free market need to just be allowed to let rip and do their thing. And that would